It takes courage to break through the fear of doing something potentially new and next not becoming good but great at it.
Drum roll.
Drum
Here you
roll. All right.
are.
Hi, Lexi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
You
So,
put makeup on really fast.
yeah, good, huh?
Prior to putting makeup on, let's include Kat Von D.
Or I use a filter from Kat Von D and it's got stars on there.
Yeah, I
And
like it.
yeah, I usually don't wear any makeup. It might be blue lipstick a little bit, but normally I don't. It's
Yeah.
I always say the little things here, like piercing over here and the ones in my ears,
Mhm.
those are my makeup.
Yeah. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, so I'm actually,
Consistency? Sorry.
yes, yes. Consistency, for those who do not know, is the theme of the month that was suggested in the group from Evan Carmichael, Movement Makers. For those who do not know who Evan Carmichael is, he's the YouTube expert and he's encouraging us to go live multiple times, probably a week, but especially a month, and
Yeah.
also getting to know other people. And this is cool. So
Yeah,
I'm
it
meeting you,
is.
Rome, here for the first time. So am I saying your name correctly, Jerome?
Jerome is correct. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. So you're right. This is my first live with somebody else on Instagram. I've never done that before. I have done lives in the past, but very infrequently. And it doesn't make me nervous. I don't think it requires a lot of courage. I think it just requires stop over analyzing and thinking about it, right?
Oh, I totally agree. So I
Yeah.
know you are a coach, just like I am. And of course, we are used to talking to other people. We never know what they're coming to talk about, or we might have a clue to some degree.
Yeah,
But, it's always there's some improv about it.
for sure. I do think that there's always themes that can be addressed, in coaching, and
Hmm.
and that opens up the doors to discussing specifics about what's going on in somebody's lives. But there are these overarching themes that we all deal with. We're all in this human experience together. It's not like we're that different. And I
No,
think,
that's true.
yeah, and I think that one of those themes is like this idea of courage, of just being able to say what you really mean and to ask for what you really want to ask for and to step out of your comfort zone. I think courage is one of those themes that is universal, right? We all come up against it on a daily basis.
Yeah, but you're saying here something. Say what you really mean. I mean, we can do an entire topic just about saying what you really mean and the courage it takes people to actually do it, and next to consistency to keep on doing it.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. I think that when we are using explicit communication, like really putting ourselves out there and saying what we mean, we're not mincing words. We know what we mean, but we don't know how the other person's going to receive it. And so that takes courage, is to step up into that and say what you really mean and not worry about what's going to happen, but be open to all possibilities. And that's unpredictable at times. And that's what makes true, explicit, open communication a courageous act.
Well, absolutely. And communication is one of the hardest things. There's no doubt about it. I mean, just last night, um, Michael and I go live every week. Michael from Wheels and Warriors, he had his birthday yesterday. We were totally prepared. I put the thumbnails up, everything. We were stoked about going live. But it was his birthday. He got a phone call. Next, I was like, yeah, yeah, time is going on and on and on. You know what? I'm going to go live straight away, and then you can join me. And right at that moment, I thought he was going to join me when I was live, and he was waiting till I would DM him that I was going to go live. Well, I was already live. So
Yeah.
45 minutes later, I finished my live, and at that moment I received this message. Yeah, I don't have any time anymore, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I see you on the live? And we
Yeah.
work together like weekly,
Huh.
and I have to say hi to some people,
Yeah.
and still we completely miss one another.
Yeah. Well, and that's a communication and expectations thing, right? So that's another thing, talking about expectation versus agreement. As coaches, we kind of look at that, it's like, well, what did you expect and what did you agree on? They're completely different things, right? So
Oh,
expectations,
absolutely.
yeah, expectations are so easy to do. It's easy to fall into expectations. It doesn't take any work. You're just like, well, I expected that to happen. So we all expect things, but to have an agreement is a collaborative affair. We have to have a conversation. We have to meet halfway. We have to make some concessions. And so I think that, like what you're talking about last night, it was like you guys had expectations, but maybe the problem was it wasn't a specific agreement that you would add him at that specific time or something like that, so.
Yeah, that's normally I'm like I say like 10 times, I'm going live now. So that might be what triggered him, because I want to be certain. But once I'm
Yeah.
live, I cannot go and see what's in the messages and tell people. Once I'm live, I'm live. So then I'm
Yeah.
bound. I'm stuck to being on the screen
Yeah.
and communicating to people through the screen.
Well,
So
that's great. So I'm glad you let me know that, because my first time I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that I won't be able to see messages here, now that we live.
well, you might be able to see messages, but you won't be able to answer them, because once you do, I think Instagram pauses at that moment, or the live
Ah,
pauses.
that makes sense. That
So
makes
it's not
sense.
like it's completely over and done with, but it pauses on your end at least.
Yeah. Now, this is pretty incredible, though. I mean, I'm sitting in Greenville, South Carolina, in a
Hmm.
parking lot while my son's in the gym playing basketball. And where are you?
I'm across the Atlantic Ocean in
Yeah,
Europe, in the Netherlands.
the Netherlands. That's what I thought. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah,
amazing how well this platform's working.
yeah, I love it. I think that almost every day I say this, like I remember the days when you even hadn't picked up your phone, with the steady line, and you could hear all those clicks and all those sounds coming from it because they were testing the line. And then my mom and dad said, Joe says she's watching from the UK,
Yeah.
so she's from the other part of the
Yeah.
North Ocean. Uh, and it was so funny because they said, "Don't call too long because it's taking up too much money." And then
That's right.
suddenly we had satellite telephone with, and the one with good connection came up. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember when before MTV we had Sky Channel in '94, it must have been.
Yeah. Well,
And
I grew up in South Africa, and when I was at 11 and 12, I went to this school that was out in the boondocks. I mean, it was out of town. And we still had one of those crank phones that you'd pick up and you'd crank it to get an operator to tell where you wanted to call. I mean,
yeah,
technology
yeah, I
has,
still
and
remember the
it's not like
operators. Yes.
I'm not ancient, but it's amazing how much technology has advanced. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a little over half century old. I don't know about you, but
Me too.
yes,
Me
I
too,
know.
actually. I'll be 51, which makes me over a half century on Thursday. So,
Okay, well, I became 51 9 weeks ago. I just
oh, cool.
I,
Happy
I, I counted
birthday.
it yesterday, so that was beginning of March.
Yeah.
Happy birthday in
Congratulations.
advance.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so we basically have seen it all. that's what's so cool about it. I mean, we remember that, hey, there's internet. And you had all these sounds, the doom, 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 doom,
Yeah,
you know, that
yeah,
sound. Yes, Joe, you're old. You're older than we are.
yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was actually she had her birthday prior to mine, a week and a half prior to mine.
No.
So, but it's so cool that we can actually, you know, and when I was working in the IT, so I've worked for 2 decades in the IT, starting the previous century. We were talking about real time. So we had real time online, and then of course there were the normal batches. And now, probably, if we talk to people about real time, they're like, huh? Real time?
Yeah.
We're online, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's crazy. But getting back to the courage and consistency kind of aspect of it, it is so much easier to reach out and touch someone, these days because of the technology, that it's kind of funny that people are nervous about connecting with people in real life.
Well, maybe
It's
because of it.
because of it, maybe because it's so easy. But once again, we get kind of hooked up in the story. Like if I was going to go and see you and I was meeting you at a pub in Amsterdam or whatever, there would be so much more preparation and like, oh, what should I wear? Or, we get in our heads to go out and
How
meet
do I go
someone.
to Amsterdam? Is it busy on the road? Oh my God, I have
Yeah,
to drive downtown center.
yeah,
a lot
exactly.
of people.
So,
A lot of people always talk about Amsterdam, but quite honestly, to go there and get there, it's, the part on the highway is the easy part, except for when I'm stuck in a traffic jam. But then, what a lot of people don't realize is all the canals and the bridges and everyone on their bicycles. And then,
yeah,
of course, the trucks, which just block the streets. And then,
yeah,
so what at some point happens is you want to go to the left or the right or whatever it is, and there is that truck in front of you. Lights on.
yeah.
Okay, I cannot go there. So then you have to go in reverse. And then there are the pedestrians and the ones on their
Cyclists.
bikes.
Yeah, yeah,
And the ones on their bikes, they don't care about hazard. I
yeah.
mean, they are king and queen of the world, or the empress, the emperors.
Yeah,
And then we have to maneuver through those going backward and still go and probably going down the bridge again,
backwards. Yeah,
around
yeah.
the corner. That's what I totally do not
Well,
like about Amsterdam.
I have never driven in Amsterdam. I was one of those pedestrians in Amsterdam, so
Yeah. So you have actually been to Amsterdam?
I have. I have. Talking about courage, I don't know for how courageous it is for some people, but for me, I've had no problem traveling. But some people are so scared to leave home. But I took 6 months of backpacking by myself, and I went through Europe. I went back to South Africa to visit people, and I went to the UK where I have some family, and then I went through. I got some great stories. I took the ferry over to Amsterdam or somewhere near there. Maybe it was The Hague. I forget. It's been a while.
Oh, that's where I am in The Hague.
Yeah. So I took the ferry there, and then I met somebody that I knew from the US who was traveling throughout Europe, and he introduced me to a bunch of street performers that he was part of. And then I took a bus with a bunch of street performers down to a little town in Belgium. And then I ended up sleeping in some stranger's house on their sunbed in Belgium. And they got a ride from somebody I didn't know down to Brussels. And then it was just great. I was just free and me and my backpack. And I met so many random strangers and trusted the world and trusted myself to them. And people took me all over the place, and it was amazing. But I think
Yeah.
a lot of the way the world has changed, and I mean, this was 20 years ago. It was before the euro, so it's been a while. But the world has changed so much that I think people are scared to give themselves into those kind of experiences and just trust themselves to the kindness of strangers.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you might have noticed that my handler is Lady Lexi's Life on the Road,
Yeah.
and I'm about speaking up and speaking out, giving people a voice. And those two are actually linked to sort of what you are saying right now. So I like to travel, and when my friends from the US come over to do some concerts here, then usually I hop in my car and then I start driving through Europe. So that's the way it is.
Yeah.
There are, I think, hmm, there must be 150,000 up to 200,000 miles, somewhere in between on the car, actually.
Yeah.
It's gone quite a bit around the world.
Yeah, that's great.
Not literally, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And because they are here, they are inspiring me to find the courage to go drive. So I've been driving in Spain in a rental car, for instance, because they were there. So I flew there and then I hired a car. Of course, it got broken into. I got stuck at Barcelona airport. Whole different story. But and also driving in France, I was like, Paris, driving in Paris. Have you seen a roundabout?
I know.
50% of the
12-lane
cars are
roundabouts.
damaged.
I know. I've been there too. I've stood there and watched cars go around and around and around. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's fun.
So we have a lot of roundabouts here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So we had to learn how to use roundabouts. But I have to say, a roundabout here in The Hague is not the same as a roundabout in Utrecht. Is not the same as a roundabout in Rotterdam. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a whole different ball game. And quite honestly, when I was driving in Paris, I was like, this is actually more like being early morning in traffic.
Yeah.
You just have
Yeah.
to push through, let people know, don't doubt, just go. And
It's a
uh,
courageous move
well,
because
you just have
if you
to,
think
because if
about
you
it too
don't,
much, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's when the
Exactly.
problems appear. So
Yeah.
normally, I don't like driving in early traffic anymore when people are like really on edge, high on adrenaline. So I can be on edge and high on adrenaline, and I'm not the nice one when I am. I'll
Yeah.
admit straight away. But I know how to do it. But I like it when I'm just a little bit more mellow, relaxed, and okay, give way to that person or that one. Okay, I'm not sure what you're going to do, so let's put the signal out that I want to go to the left or right. Let me know what you're doing, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's so not what you have to do when you're in Paris or in early morning traffic when
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
busy on the road. Then you
Yeah.
have to be a complete beep and then just ride, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think anyone really loves traffic, but we all like to talk about it, don't we? We always,
Well, to a degree, to a degree.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I try to go when it's not that busy, and if I have to be in a traffic jam, I prefer to be at night because that's people have a different attitude. Like in the
yeah,
morning, they're annoyed and they're irritated and they have to rush, and at night they're already a little bit tired and it's more relaxed, more mellow. So.
yeah.
And I
Uh,
can handle that. It's the other part that I cannot handle, and
yeah,
it really triggers me getting like, yeah.
yeah.
But
So
as for
I was,
courage,
yeah,
um,
I was gonna say, so for you, traveling alone and just around the place is part of being courageous, trusting the world around you and moving about.
yeah,
Um,
and you know why? You probably don't know why. Because I can walk for a long period of time. I until like half a year ago, I couldn't even do without crutches.
I
So
did hear
I
you
got,
mention something about that recently, but I don't
yeah.
know the whole story. So,
Well, I tripped on a brick July 31st, 2014.
Oh, well.
That's the whole story to it. And then no one believed me. No one was trying to do anything. Well, they did take a photo. They wanted to know, but it didn't say anything conclusive because they had to do an MRI in order to figure out what was going on, and they didn't do so until Christmas. So up till the
Of
time, no
this
crutches, no
past year,
nothing.
Christmas?
No, 2014.
Oh, okay. So
So
yeah,
between August, November, December, uh, August, September, October, November, December, for 5 months, I didn't have any support. So I did go and go to the hospital, but they didn't understand it. And I said, it's not good. And they didn't believe me until they did the MRI and figured out, oh my God, she's got a torn ligament. Oh, yeah, there might be
yeah,
something wrong more than just that. Well, maybe she
yeah,
just needs to take it a little
yeah.
easy. So that's how it started. And in the end, I had two surgeries, and the one who did my surgery in the end of November 2018. She's my hero because she's the reason that I can actually stand on 2 feet again.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. It sounds like a long, torturous healing journey.
Yeah, and then when I thought finally I'm starting to walk again, then my knee caved in.
Yeah.
So now I've got the knee brace for my left knee, and I'm stuck ordering one for my right knee. Not because the order isn't done, but because the people who are actually manufacturing it, they had a old process and they had a new process. So for my current, the one I already have, with the stars and stripes on there, which is pretty cool. Um, they had that one, and that was just in the catalog. For the new one, I have to come up with some sort of design, and they cannot just take the old one, mirror it, and put it on the right brace.
Wow.
It's amazing how people cannot do certain things when you meet them.
But they can put rockets into space. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Well, that's another lesson for consistency, right? Is just like whenever you're coming back from injury, it's just like the small steps each day, just like little bit by little bit, a little becomes a lot, and so that's where the consistency aspect comes in, and
yeah,
that's a tough lesson because we all want to go from zero to hero in no time, and then we end up getting hurt again. So I spent
yeah. That's true.
years in that kind of field. I used to be a personal trainer and back in the day, and then I was a massage therapist, and then I was a chiropractor. So
Oh, we have some things in common, Mister.
yeah, oh yeah. So
Right.
yeah, I'm used to this whole story about injury and healing, and I've heard a lot of it. Hold on, I'm gonna change my. I'm holding my phone in my hand, and it's getting hot, so
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
to
yeah, I
change
get
something.
it. I always
Yeah,
find some place where I can put it on the dashboard and then not
yeah,
having to touch it. So I
yeah.
actually, while I still was in IT, I decided to become a fitness instructor because they had opened a new chain here, Fitness First, and they actually came up with a suggestion because I wanted to know, because I haven't been able to work out normally since I went to high school. And then I figured out, oh, okay, I can go to the gym, but the whole aerobics stuff, that I had to stay on the ground. That's what we always said. So I couldn't
Yeah.
jump, I couldn't run, all those things. So they suggested it to me. So then I became first a fitness trainer. Then I became a medical fitness trainer.
Oh.
And because I didn't know where the muscles were. Theoretically, yes, but not in a practical sense. I couldn't feel
Yeah.
it. I became a massage therapist. There we go. And then I became an energetic therapist. So I went to school for 4 years, and the whole thing. So by the time I'd been studying like for 7 years or longer, or 8 years, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I became a coach, and then I became counselor as well. So it's
Perpetual
so I
student.
know.
Yeah. You never stop learning, right?
We never stop learning.
Yeah.
Never stop learning. That's so true. And nowadays, the fun thing is actually I'm working with people, and I don't know why, but the people around me are experiencing trauma. Some of them, as a result of it, are on the verge of saying, I'm going to step out. Actually, one of them actually did, of my clients, and then I've got, of course, a bunch of friends. We all do at this age. And but also people who are dealing with addiction because of not, and then we get to courage again, and also to consistency, because they don't trust that they can be open, and so they come up with white lies or worse lies, and they do that on a consistent basis. So I'm trying to teach them that's not helping, because you insult people's intelligence, especially when you're lying to your wife. You know,
Yeah.
as if she doesn't know that you're cheating
Yeah.
on her. She knows. And then
Not a very
you're,
courageous thing.
well, you know, the anger from the partner usually is the result of them knowing something is wrong, and the other one saying, no, no, that's not true. You're making
Yeah.
things up. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to teach people. Like, okay, it makes way more sense, and in the end, it takes you less effort and courage if you are honest.
Yeah. And that's
And
back to our beginning conversation about just saying what you mean, you know, and meaning
yes,
what you say, and being an explicit communicator. Don't mince your words, but that takes a lot of courage, because say you're having an affair and you're not going to just come out and say it, because that's going to blow up right then and there. So then people start tiptoeing around it, and then they start making up stories that they start to believe, and then think others will believe it too, and then it does hurt them worse in the end. But yeah, it's tough to be a true, honest communicator, even in a romantic relationship. Sometimes, you know, I think people have a hard time with it,
oh,
because
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, yeah, the unexpected can happen.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, I'm trying to tell people, like, don't come up with those white lies, because it's going to bite you in the end, you know. Um, and you don't want that, because you are actually putting the other one through a traumatic experience by lying over and over and over again, and them doubting themselves while knowing, no, I'm right. And then they don't understand why they are so angry.
but you know, the other thing to think about is the more we lie, the more we injure ourselves too, because then we don't
That's true.
even trust ourselves anymore. And when you don't trust yourself, it's difficult to be a courageous person. It's difficult to go after anything with any consistency, because you lack trust in yourself,
Well,
and
the
that comes
consistency is
from
probably the lying, and I'm almost afraid to say. Well, I'm not afraid to say so, but I'm sorry to say so. But those people who don't trust that honesty will work, because they know they've done something wrong, or maybe they have been raised by saying, okay, lying is better. Just do
yeah,
what you want. You know, those people are out there too, who actually have seen the wrong example. Hi, Rosie. And they, um, once they go into the wrong direction, then of course their head starts nagging them, because they know they're wrong, and then they
yeah,
feel like they can't share anything anymore, and you know, the whole thing just blows up in their face, and that's usually when they start drinking, doing other stuff, and you know, especially after a fight, oh, let's get some more beer or whatever it is, and
yeah. It's escapism, right? It's not
yes.
willing. I also think that substance abuse is a sign of not having enough courage to deal with what's going on in your life, and it's escapism, and we get addicted to that escape
Yeah,
of just checking out. It's
but
easier.
but
It's
next,
easy.
try and get away from that one thing you used as an escape to numb yourself.
Yeah,
You know, whether it's the powder, whether it's the booze, whether it's herbs, whether it's the lorazepam or whatever medication.
yeah, yeah,
And then, yeah, but I'm feeling good. And yeah, I don't want to quit, but I'm finally feeling good. I can finally sleep. And then, yeah, but you're adding on and you need to cut down on some stuff because you're adding on it. And then of course the lies about what they're using. And everyone knows what's going on. The whole town talks about it. And
Yeah,
still, no,
yeah,
no, no, I'm not. And so
yeah.
I
I,
yes.
no, I was going to say, and it does. It comes down to that topic of courage, time and time and time again. Because people are like, well, I'm brave. I'm facing my demons, or whatever. But they're deluding themselves in so many ways, with alcohol or whatever. But I think courage is something that in coaching, right? And you and I both coach people, but when I am talking to someone about courage, they're like, yeah, I'm really into this whole topic. I see myself as a courageous person. But the more you dive into it, everyone has an area in their life where they could step up with more courage, whether it's starting their own business or mending their relationships or ending a relationship or whatever it is. There's an area in our life where we can be courageous. And I love there's a quote that I really like, which is by Anais Nin, that says, your life expands or it shrinks in proportion to your courage. And I think that's really, really great, because if you're not a very courageous person, you're going to live a pretty small life.
I need to
And
write it down. Your
yeah,
life expands or shrinks with
in proportion
courage.
to your courage. Yeah. And I
Well, I'll
love that
just let
one.
you send it to me, please, in a little bit,
Okay.
because this one is not working anymore. That one is not working.
You got to be you got to be courageous enough to throw those pens out. But
Well,
but
I liked you in the description, use those little things
yeah,
and also take like little reels where we are talking about things like this. Because I think that's so important, um, to think about the meaning of those things. It's
yeah,
just like when you said, people think they are facing their demons. Well, one thing I know for certain is Pandora's box is something scary, and a lot of people are doing anything but facing their demons.
yeah. It's true. It's true. And that Pandora's box becomes bigger and filled with more scary things the longer we keep it shut. If you opened it up a little bit each time and dealt with whatever came out, it wouldn't be such a scary monster. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. I couldn't say it any better. It's
yeah.
you know, when I first heard about Pandora's box, I had no clue what they were talking about. But nowadays, oh, I know what it's about. I
Yeah,
always say, it's okay to experience emotions and to let go, and it's okay to be in tears. I mean, when you're a guy, sure,
yeah.
cry. Let go of those emotions. And yes, you need to go through them a number of times. And then when you do, that's when you start to heal. And I actually bought this book recently, from this lady. I don't know. I should have to pick up the book if I were to mention her. But she's written this book for adolescents, young adults, and so she describes what trauma is and all that stuff and how the brain works. And then she gets into trauma and she says, okay, yes, it's not nice to keep pulling that scab off time and time and time again. But if you don't, well, you just figure out what's going on behind the scab. It's not good. It's going to get
Hmm.
inflamed and all that stuff. But at some point, when you've pulled up this of the scab enough, then yes, you may have a scar, but that scar links directly to courage. And it's a bit
Hmm.
weird to talk about consistency when it comes to living through that one nightmare or the traumatic event, or maybe multiple ones. But it's
But
when
but
you do it,
maybe it's my understanding of trauma, and everyone's got various things that have happened in their lives. I am lucky enough to not have experienced too much trauma in my life. But I do know that, my years as a functional medicine practitioner and working with people one-on-one in a health setting, that being courageous is going and getting help, asking for help, going to a counselor, working through those experiences and trying to assign a new meaning to it, because that makes us who we are. We can't, it's like the shadow, right? We got to embrace the shadow. We've got to understand our dark and our light, the yin and the yang, just looking at that, because that makes us a whole person. But if we keep trying to shove that away and not address it, then it's a completely imbalanced life and we have a hard time moving forward. And I'm not a counselor or a psychologist by any means, but, I think that everyone needs to understand that sometimes the most courageous thing to do is just to ask for help.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I will admit it's not the easiest thing to do. But then again, it's my life. It's my middle name to need to ask for help. I mean, if I go on a flight, I can walk through the airport, so I need medical assistance, and
Yeah.
and then there are a number of things where it might happen that I need to ask. I mean, if I go to a restaurant, I've got all these food allergies, so I need to talk to the chef first about what's in there. Oh, do me a favor. If you say this is on the menu, stick to those ingredients and don't take this one out because I asked you to, and then replace it with something else that you haven't talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course always happen. And even if you say so in advance, like, okay, I know people want to replace things, but please let me know when they put something else in there. And what happens? That's what they do.
Yeah.
And there's no fun in not being able to walk properly, and the next, not having any stability, and then having to race to the restrooms because they
Yeah.
put something in the food. you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is trauma, right? This is trauma. You've got this experience that happened 8 years ago, and it's buried itself in your body. You have the physical manifestations to remind you of it daily, and then in your mind, it's playing on a daily basis. And then those.
Well, actually, this happened to me last Friday.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. But I'm talking about your initial injury, right, in 2014. But it all adds up over time, because every time you replay the pain, you replay a situation like Friday. It's those chemical signals that are your emotions are a cascade that plays throughout your body, and then we're
Well,
nervous.
if I wouldn't have dealt with it, yes, that's true. But one of the things I did is actually the place where it happened. I kept going back there because it was also my walk for rehabilitation. It was exactly 1 kilometer, so a little bit less under a mile, and I can't just walk that distance. Then I have to sit down, get a tea or something, and
Yeah.
then I'll walk back again. So it's the perfect distance. So of course the first times I got there, it was like but
Oops.
I love the people there. So and the things that I've experienced because of it, I've actually experienced so many great things, met so many wonderful people. So that's probably why my message nowadays: speak up, speak out, and share your voice.
Yeah.
Because strangers don't have a problem listening to you, and they usually will help you. That's the cool thing. Strangers of all people, not family, not friends, but strangers.
Well, yeah, I think that there's no history, right? So history,
Exactly.
unfortunately, plagues us. And, it taints our vision, the history that we have with people. I have to deal with it all the time. I know I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. So why am I treating other people that I've known for 20 years like they're the same person from 20 years ago? It's hard. We do that. The history aspect we don't leave it behind. We all like, okay, don't live in the past, be present or, future focused. But the past is the past. You can't do anything about it. But yet we carry that around with us the way we think about people. We think about them in their past. Like, I'm a father of 2 kids, It's hard to think of my 12-year-old as a 12-year-old. I still want to treat him like a 10-year-old or whatever, but that's going to project forward, I'm going to be 90 years old and my kids are going to be my little ones still, and they're going to be adults doing their thing. And I'm going to have that history with them where they might go to a stranger and have better insight, better answers from the stranger, because even though my intention is going to be as good as possible, because I love them, I'm their parent, I'm still going to have a history that I attach to it. And that is totally difficult to get over. I don't know how to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to keep talking about certain things so that you can actually change your perspective, hear from other people what's going on. So you were talking before about embracing the dark, and it's when you actually embrace the dark, you figure out that take something like forgiveness. And when you're angry at someone, it actually hurts you as a person, not the other one. The other one doesn't know you're angry.
Nope.
But you holding on to a grudge, and I don't mean you as a person, but in general, when you choose to hold on, that's when that anger that hurts you. That's what's hurting you and eating at you. But when you come to a place of forgiveness, I always say, like, you see, like in this heart, there's a little hatch. You open it up, and there's a little light there, and you can take a little bit of that light in your hand. You can hold it as if it was a lantern or whatever, and then you just mold that little ball of light, and then you go like, you start at the other one.
Yeah.
And at that moment, what you actually do is you take the light, the positive side, and well, the throwing itself might be a little bit of anger, but of course we're talking about the ball of light. But what you do is actually saying, I no longer want to be attached to whatever fear or anger or demons are inside of me. I want to be free of it, and I want to be happy again. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, that anger is actually hurting them and not the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a quote, something like that, about the poison that you made for somebody else but end up swallowing yourself. Yeah, something like that. I forget. But yeah. No, it's good. It's good just chatting.
So, yeah, I love it because we think alike from what I've picked up so far. Yeah. So one thing, when it comes to consistency and courage to be consistent, I know you recently told us that, and us is the Movement Maker family, so those are the ones who are working with Evan Carmichael, that you are changing your YouTube channel. And one of the things you shared was, I actually haven't done much with the YouTube channel. So if you are going to change it and start working on it, would that require courage for you? Or are you going to say, no, that's going to be easy? Are you fearful? What?
Well, I don't think it's a courage aspect with me. It's a prioritization situation. And I feel that the courage is to declare what's super important to me, and acknowledging where priorities sit. I found it easier with the way my life is right now just to pick up a phone and make a TikTok video or Instagram. But it's got nothing to do with, well, maybe, okay. Open up the kimono here, right? Showing it all. I moved into a home that is a fixer-upper home, and it is a disaster. I mean, talk about Pandora's box. You know, you got to fix one thing, and next thing you got to rip the whole floor up. But and that was my big thing when we moved into this home. I'm like, oh my gosh, this home's got so much potential. I'm gonna finally have my place to do my videos. I'm gonna have my studio room. It's gonna be all mine. I can start my podcast again. It's gonna be all perfect, right? Well, nothing's perfect, as we know, but it just didn't happen. So right now, it's more about the courage to say, okay, what do I want to prioritize and how consistent am I going to be about that? And I haven't reached that point with YouTube yet because it's just been easier to pick up my phone and do a video in the car like this. However, why can't I do that on YouTube? So is it a courage thing, or is it just kind of like it's a time management? It's like, oh, I got to go and make sure I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. You know, I've got to, for me, I can make a video and post it to YouTube, no problem. But I want it to be good, right? I want it to have views. I want it to have value. I want there to be a reason why somebody should watch it. You know, it shouldn't just be about me putting a video up. It should be about me sharing a gift with someone else. And I think that
Wow.
in
Have
my
you heard
mind,
yourself? Tell you a gift, it needs to be good. Wow, so
yeah,
many things. I mean, it's perfection to the perfect to, you know?
well, but it's not, because I know it doesn't have to be that way, and that's what the point I was getting to is that these are the stories that I tell myself. So it is a matter of being honest with myself and looking at myself courageously and saying, just be consistent, because all that other stuff will come. You know, the consistency carves canyons, right? That's the number one saying around consistency. You know, just doing that. Being consistent is a way to find your voice. Being
Yeah.
consistent is a way to practice your message. Being consistent is the way that people start to notice you, and you know, either they like and follow you and they get value of what you share. So I do know that consistency is key. You know, consistency carves canyons. Yeah, it's a great way to think about it. And you're right. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
so true.
a
And
courageous thing
like
just
this
to look.
video,
Hmm.
here's this video. We are recording it right now. So it's on Instagram. And there are apps out there which allow you to take it from Instagram, save it. Then there are other tools who will help you to make it from vertical to horizontal. Yes, it's a lot of work. Unless you do it more regularly and then you get the hang of it. And then you can post it to YouTube. And you can, of course, always add a little thing to it. And then it comes, and then when we're talking about consistency, it's all the things combined. So then you
Yeah.
talk about, okay, which thumbnail do I also post it on Instagram that I got out there, and what's the
Yeah.
story that I'm going to write down, and then you can repurpose all the stuff. So if you're already recording in the car like you are, and you say you do it more often, I mean, it's just knowing where to go, put in the time to learn to do it, and well, I'm starting to record all those videos because too many people are asking me how do I do it. So I
Yeah.
keep on doing it for them. And then when you do, you can just post it to YouTube. I mean, you are going to get this video later on from me, and it'll be in a format where you can download it.
Well,
And then
thank you.
you can post it on YouTube. So all you have to do is edit your thumbnails in there, because I will have at the end, there will be, in my colors, it will show the next series you can click on. And you can actually use your channel there. You can put it on there too. So all you need to do, but of course, that's knowing what you need to do, is go to YouTube Studio and then,
Yeah.
okay, not easy, but you can choose to edit it or not. But some people cannot even edit it, so they basically have to take the file that I gave them and just, you know,
Yeah.
upload it to YouTube.
My son's
So,
getting into video editing, so maybe we'll get some software and he can play with it and I'll play with it too.
what we are doing right now on the phone, we can do everything on that phone.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it. We can do everything. I mean, I talk to my clients on the phone. Sometimes I use team meeting, other times I use WhatsApp, other times I'll just, old fashioned
yeah,
phone call.
yeah.
Well, what's old fashioned about it,
Nothing.
but exactly.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm getting at.
yeah,
So, and that's one thing why I also use Life on the Road, because I want to be able to get my iPad, put it in my backpack, and then go somewhere, sit down on the terrace, and then start working, and get it out there, and then I'll move on again.
yeah, yeah. No, it's true. I mean, there's a mobile studio in my pocket at all times, so there's no excuse.
Yeah, but when it comes to all those things, and we can talk later on about it, I'm the one who is the first one to say, "Oh, you want to know? Yeah, let me explain it to you." And
Yeah,
and that's why if I'm editing it into a YouTube video anyway, I might as well send it to you. Save
yeah,
you the
yeah.
trouble of
Sure.
going through all the hassle.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's the way it works.
yeah.
And
Very good.
and when we get to consistency, so yes, last night I was talking about consistency and how I started with all the videos. The first time I used was recording videos. I had my Olympic camera, no screen you could turn,
Hmm.
what you could watch. It was literally, okay, there is the camera. I put it in front of me. I record like 10 seconds. Then I leave back. Oh, okay. No, I need to readjust the position. Okay, now
Yeah,
it's
I
time to
remember
sprint
those
again.
days.
You know,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and now it's so much easier. And back then, I did it. I would do a challenge. I would record like 5 days in a row, and then I would stop.
yeah,
And now, of course, it's all different because we can see one another. Someone has told me how to look good on camera. All those
yeah,
little things. Oh,
yeah,
when you look at a camera, you need to do it in a certain angle.
yeah, yeah.
All those. And it's funny because yes, I have been in the IT, but for some reason I'm known as the tech girl among a lot of the movement makers. Simply because I'm so used to editing all the little things and doing the stuff. And
Yeah. I think,
so it
yeah,
paused for a second.
yeah, it did pause for a sec.
So what? Yeah. So, but that's that, yeah. When it's low in power, it'll pause. So it's somewhat like in the beginning we talked about messaging to someone else, and
Yeah.
that's what happens. You go
Okay.
on a pause.
Yeah.
So now you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say my phone is getting low, so it's gonna be probably not too much longer. But yeah, it's been really good, Lexi, just to sit here and talk and figure some things out and hear your points of view and see where you are in the world. So I appreciate the time. Yeah.
Oh, I love that we actually have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Certainly the way we think about certain things. And so that's good. So I would love to do this more often with you. So when it comes to consistency and maybe courage, anything you would like to add? Some last words?
I think for me, one of the things like we were just talking about is like why haven't I done it more often? Is it's about tapping into the values and creating standards for myself. So I got to have my values figured out. What do I really value in life? And then I got to create a standard for myself. What am I not willing to put up with for myself to become more consistent? And when I can align my values and my standards a little bit better, I think the consistency just falls into place more. And I think
Oh, I love it.
yeah, I think that's a good place for me to wrap it up and think about that myself, because we all do it. We all have so many things that we want to do. We all say we want to do so many things, but do we really, really want to do it, or do we just want to do it because we think we should, you know. So I think
Well, that's
that's
quite honestly why I put myself on the spot every now and then. Like for instance, I'm doing a weekly show with Michael, and then on
yeah,
Wednesday I have a weekly show, and hopefully it's with Joe. And when she can't make it, it's on my own.
yeah,
But those are fixed times.
yeah. I'm on a
So,
call. Yeah,
oh,
no,
okay.
I like that. My son just got done with his basketball practice, so. But yeah,
Yes, we
I
are
really
going
appreciate it.
to wrap up. But
Okay.
it's like I said, putting yourself on the spot that usually helps to get things done.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, good. I'm gonna put
Well, thank you
myself on
so
the
much.
spot, so maybe we do a regular weekly.
Yeah, I love that. I love that to do a regular weekly. So,
All right.
thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day, great evening still, and
Yes.
we'll talk soon again.
All right. Thank you so much, Lexi. Bye.